Hello everyone, welcome to the round 18 lockout Q&A stream. Sorry, it's been a busy day. Had to double take and double check what the round was. Absolute carnage this week. We already know that. Lots of questions to cover. Obviously, the Sharks playing the Tigers today, which is probably the biggest match to target this week. So I'm sure there'll be lots of questions coming in. To be honest, I still don't 100% know exactly what I'm doing. So I'll quickly talk through my team at the beginning, but we'll try to get to as many questions as we can. Before I do, very quick shout out as well. Any listeners of Bloke in the Bar out there? Got my nice little cheeky hoodie on. I bought that on Monday because I think Denon wearing it. I thought that is an unreal hoodie. Definitely wanted to get it. It's a little bit big for me. I'm a small man, as some of you would have seen on Twitter. Remus Smith and Connor Watson come to my work and they absolutely make me look even more of a dwarf than I already am. So hoodie's a little bit big, but it's very comfy. It's a very comfy hoodie, so I'll definitely be warm, which is good. Although I could take it off when I'm hot and bothered, seeing Nico Hines go for a 200 today. Hello to Brods, Roger Duckling, Mudcrab, Davey K, What Will You Do, Charlie, Ethan, who else we got here? We got Don J, Jonty, Raymond, great to see a lot of you. The hair from Fowler, yep, the hair is looking good. I did touch it up, as I think it might have been, no, it was Someone Talks Fantasy. Sorry, unfortunately, I can't remember the first part of your username. It said to make sure you touch up the hair before the stream. I thought, you know what, I'll do it for you. So the hair's a bit touched up. Get myself a nice little trim this morning. I wanted to look my best for you guys because I know you guys appreciate the appearance, not just the SuperCoach talk. So anyway, let's get into it. So great to see. Wow, did you get a haircut, Aman? Hair is looking rubbish. Oh, what will you do? Get out of here! I will kick you for saying such absolute lunacy. No, I'm just joking. Bateman to sell. All right, yep. Got some questions in. Could I quickly explain the VC loophole? Yep, okay, sure thing. Well, let's start with that. So obviously this week, major bye week, so you only get your best 13 players count. So what you do, still set up your 17 teams. So you're starting 13 plus having 4 reserves, and the game will auto-select your highest performing 13 players. The fact that most people probably won't have more than 17 means that you're automatically going to be copying an auto emergency score. So this week basically means that you have a free crack at your captaincy. So that's why Nico vice captain, if you're wanting to captain him instead, the smarter play is to just vice captain Hines. Obviously you can go somewhere different, but I think Hines is the one. And then what you can do is if Hines goes 200 plus, all you need to do this week is to captain a non-player this week. I would advise that you captain a bye player, not a player who's missing through Origin. So for example, Damien Cook, his team plays this week, but he is on Origin duty. So he locks out when the Rabbitohs play, whereas bye players, they don't lock out until the very last game of the round, which is the Dolphins-Titans game. So I suggest just have a bye player in your starting 13 so that you can move the captain to them. And so, for example, in my case, if Hines goes 200, I'll probably just put the captaincy on Kalen Ponga. I've only got 13 players anyway, so I'm going to cop an auto emergency. So it's a free crack at it. So that's essentially that in a nutshell. But yes, anyway, in terms of what I'm looking at doing with my team, so I kind of did post on Twitter that I was a little bit unsure of what to do. I was getting more and more tempted to sell Cody by the hour, if I'm being honest, because I thought, missing this week, next week, comes back to the Broncos in round 21. It's got another bye in round 26. Could I potentially switch, someone like a Talakai, someone who I thought about, Cody Walker to Talakai via Joey Manu. I can kind of go for it this week, go for a Talakai against the Tigers, who looked very, very leaky last week and could be the same again today. Maybe Talakai goes 90 plus. He plays again next week, Talakai, whereas Cody doesn't. So at least there's 2 weeks where I'm guaranteed to Talakai to outscore Cody. And then on the run home, the Sharks still do have a few good matchups, but so do the Rabbitohs. This is the problem. The Rabbitohs have got some decent games that I would be scared to not own Cody. They've got, let's see here, they've got the Tigers round 22, Dragons round 24, Knights round 25. Maybe round 26 you could sell him at that point because then it's the Roosters in round 27, although he has scored 200 plus against the Roosters before. I'm kind of thinking with Cody, it's the balance of how far do I push it. I'm kind of sitting at 5,800. Do I want to go really hard at this week and try to get a leg up and then try to just deal with not having Cody down the line? And instead of getting Cody, maybe I go back to like a Latrell, for example. I'm still grappling with it. I really probably need to make this decision in the next 40 minutes or so, because if I were to trade Cody to anyone, it would be a center wing and it would probably be Talakai, if I'm being honest. So I need to make that decision very soon. Gutherson, I did entertain going to Will Kennedy. I'm kind of gotten cold in that. I think I will keep Gutherson. I just think that next week is going to be a tough week, and Gutherson backing up, I'm sure he'll back up versus the Titans at home. I think there'll be a matchup that I will want Gutherson for. So I'm kind of thinking Guther, I think I'll keep him for that week. He still has a 39 break-even, so I still suspect he'll go up in price. Again, the thing with Cody, he's got quite a high break-even, so there's a chance that he does lose some value. But Cody is like the second best, averaging 5'8" this season as well, so I don't want to just trade him lightly. So what I've kind of ended up on for the time being is, this was actually my plan last week, so I'm kind of sticking to the plan I had from last week, which was to downgrade Christian Welch to a nuff. So that would get me 3 nuffs of a front row forward. Matt Dury's essentially enough, and Jack Howarth. I don't really want to max out on more than 3 nuffs, I think. So someone did in the YouTube comments of my stream mention how to pronounce this guy's name. Colquhoun, I think. I don't know. I could go someone like Miles Martin instead, but I figured with Colquhoun, I really only think he'll be there for the 2 weeks while Finucane's suspended, and then after that, I think he will drop out. So my thinking is that because next week is going to be tough, look, if he's coming off the bench this week and next week, if I had to play him next week, he can get me like 20 extra points. I don't know. So that's why I'm thinking of going with him instead of Miles Martin. He is a dual. Actually, funnily enough, my entire front row forward are all second row forward, front row forward duals. I can't actually do anything about it though, because I've got no other players to switch with them, but the dual can be handy. So at the moment, I've gone Welch down to Colquhoun. That leaves me with 388k in the bank, which I think, Preston, he's got a break even of 94. If he gets around 50, he'll lose about 35k. Fafita is 830k. That will be enough for me to go Preston to Fafita quite comfortably. I can even just demonstrate that now. Preston for Fafita, there's 150k there. So obviously there's some, even if Preston goes down 50k, I've still got 100k to play with. The reason why I want that buffer though is that next week I may potentially want to go SJ to Cleary. It looks like SJ is going to be playing this week as well, because his wife, I think, on Instagram basically put a story out saying that, telling the baby to stay in there because, SJ is going to play this weekend, going off to play. So it looks like SJ will play this week. The problem with that is, it's good for points this week. The problem is that SJ's got a 128 break even. Good chance that he doesn't reach that, and he will also go down in price. And if I wanted to get to Cleary next week, because I do think I want Cleary next week if he's back against the Dolphins, doing those combo moves, I basically got 93k buffer. So if Preston goes down 50k, I can really only allow for SJ to go down 40k to be able to do both those 2 moves next week. I could sell Bateman instead of Preston next week if I had to, but I do think Preston is probably slightly more of a sell than Bateman. So that's the situation at the moment if I just did that one trade of Welch down to enough, which is why I started thinking about Cody out as well for a Talakai, because that frees up like an extra 130k, and that basically guarantees that I can afford both of Cleary and Fafita next week. That's the only reason why I've started thinking about Cody as a downgrade. I could, instead of going Cody out, I could go Billy Smith to Munro. That would also be an option to free up that same cash. I just don't know if I want to go Munro, Colquhoun, and have Dury and Howarth. That's kind of the reason why I thought maybe don't go with Munro, because I think that will just leave me with pretty bad depth. So I'm still umming and ahhing about whether Cody out is maybe a play just to get some extra cash this week to basically guarantee me to get Fafita and Cleary next week if they're both available. And then maybe we can deal with Cody back in round, even in round 21, it's a Broncos matchup. I'm probably okay to not have Cody that week. It's the week after in round 22. I could instead just go Latrell, and I could just not have Cody and just hide behind my couch. That could be something that I could do. So I don't know. I'm keen to see what you guys think. Whether I go the aggressive route and go on top of Welch out, go Cody to a Talakai. Talakai is who I'm feeling. I could go Munro instead of Colquhoun, but I'll have to trade out Billy Smith for that. It doesn't get me as much cash as Welch down to Colquhoun. That's the reason why, because Welch is almost 500k. So I'm getting almost 300k from that move alone, which is kind of why I'm doing it that way instead of Munro. Nothing wrong with Munro. I just think with my team and my kind of squad makeup, I think it makes more sense for me to do that. I'm seeing something from JK, which is SJ's not playing, came out that his wife is in labor right now. If you could please give me a link for that, that would be appreciated. I just want to, it's a bit hard to kind of navigate both doing the stream and also that at the same time. So if you can send me a link to that, that would definitely be appreciated, because I'm still working off that update that, that his wife put out on Instagram. So please let me know. Why did I get that Sharks front row forward? I kind of mentioned it, like he will play some minutes this week, play some minutes next week, which I think he'll only be there for 2 weeks, and I think he drops out when Del Finucane is back. So I kind of feel like he'll drop out eventually anyway. And so he can maybe get me some points this week and next week. But yeah, it's really this Cody situation is what I'm dabbling with. Gutherson, I think if Gutherson was missing next week, I'd probably sell Gutherson instead of Cody. It's the fact that Gutherson plays next week, which is why I'm thinking... which is why I'm thinking Cody out instead. But I do like with Munro that he's probably got that spot, so it might not actually end up being enough anyway. So let me just get out of these trade situations that I've got here with SJ and Preston. Because if I have got like that 388k with doing Welch out, and apologies guys, I do kind of need to figure out my own team. I will get to questions for sure as well, so do stick around please. But I guess if I did Billy Smith out for Munro instead, so let me see how much money that leaves me with. Anyway, let's look at that. I mean, 548k, that's plenty in the bank. That's plenty that I can work with. He's a good play this week. I guess in terms of my numbers next week, let's just do a quick check. I'll have 1, 2, I'm not going to count him. Let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. I'll have exactly 17 next week. So it's leaving me tight, with my Nuff situation, plus also Rabbitohs on the bye. And to be honest, I mean, I could go Cook out for Harry Grant instead of getting Cleary next week, but I think Fafita and Cleary, in my opinion, just feel like higher priorities if they both fit next week. Yeah, Ian, I see what you're saying. Go Billy Smith to Munro instead. That definitely is also an option that allows me to keep Cody, which is probably maybe the smart play. But then I am going, I've got Cody, Munro, Johnston, and Cook all out next week, plus my 2 nuffs potentially 3 nuffs. 18 players is if you count Colquhoun instead, but I'm not really looking at that, so I'm kind of looking at 17. And my front row forward would be pretty weak next week with Harrison and Edwards. So this move might be the right move. If I wanted to go Walker out for Talakai, I'll have to decide that just now, basically, but I'm still not 100% certain on that. It does feel a bit more sensible to try to hold on to Cody if I can, though, I think, just because the more guns that I think that I can hold on to, especially with my Nuff situation, probably the better. Whereas Billy Smith, sure, he plays next week, but it's against Melbourne, so it's not the easiest matchup. So maybe I just try to go hard and get Munro in this week for him instead. That leaves me with plenty of money, and it leaves me just about okay for next week. 17, maybe 18. Thinking about that more, I do miss out on potential Talakai points today. Maybe it's a bit of a FOMO thing. But yeah, maybe it's Munro. Anyway, I'll stay on the screen. I'll think it over. Let's try to get to some of your questions for a little bit. And then, we'll have a think about it as we go along. Why don't I own Hopgood? I don't know. I'm really regretting buying Madison those couple of weeks ago when I did. I should have just bought Hopgood because I was just being cute and overthinking it. Hopgood was a play. It doesn't seem worth it to me now to go Madison out for a Hopgood or Preston to Hopgood. I think I just need to not have him. He's probably the one guy this week I think who can really hurt me, not owning who's highly owned. Which is again another reason why I was like, maybe I just go a little bit harder this week to try to kind of navigate not having Hopgood. My front row forward is still going to be weak. Yeah, so that's fine. I've kind of accepted that my front row forward next week is going to be pretty tough with Tarpany out. Did I count Tarpany? I hope I didn't. I think I did count him, didn't I? Oh, geez. So I've got one less there actually. Sorry. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Okay, I've got 18. So I miscounted. I didn't count Piakura. I've got 18 next week, including Colquhoun, so call it 17. So it could work still. It could still work. Isn't Walker a sell anyway, or are you thinking pod? Walker's definitely not a must sell. It's definitely not. Cody is definitely not a must sell because he's been really good. He's the second best, averaging 5'8". Koloamatangi sell. I can see merit in that. Like for example, if you don't own a Nikora, Koloamatangi to him I think is a really obvious move. To be honest, if I had Koloamatangi and I didn't own Hopgood, I'd probably do that as well. If I'm being perfectly honest, I'd probably would do that move just because I think Koloamatangi missing this week and next week. Second or forward is a position where you've got plenty of other good options that you can replace with, whereas 5'8 is a little bit less of that case, which is kind of why maybe I'm thinking hold on to Cody. Is Tungo a buy next week? For sure. Tungo is a really good pod option for a centre wing if you can afford to not go from this week. Dolphins next week, Bulldogs the week after. He's a good solid centre wing, so even in tough matchups you can play him, and it's Penrith. Yeah, I like Tungo as a good pod buy next week, and you can go to someone like Hudson Young for any Koloamatangi sellers out there. Obviously, be conscious that Hudson Young misses next week with the bye, but it's a good matchup this week. A great matchup, actually, versus the Dragons, who are very leaky on their edges. Koloamatangi to Talakai, I don't mind that move either. I think Talakai, don't expect the world from him. It's probably going to be most weeks between that kind of 50 to 65, but he has got that potential. We saw last week, he got 80. I thought that 80 was a bit tough. I think he should have gotten some kind of scoring updates, and I think he should have gotten about kind of 95 plus, which is again another reason why I was thinking, is he a good option for this week to try to capitalize? Who would I target this week out of Tarpany or Talakai? I think Tarpany probably is going to be better this week, just because I think he'll get more minutes. No Papali'i or Solo or Horsburgh, but again, misses next week. In terms of who's more of a keeper in their respective positions, it's probably Tarpany, and I prefer him to buy. I prefer his points potential this week. Excuse me, hiccups. But overall, I do think Tarpany is more of a season keeper. Thoughts on Cody to Ponga, Koloamatangi to Tarpany, Warbrick to CNK, and Johnston to Munro. Okay, so that's a big boost. I saved 200k from the trade and it'll allow me to use it on both Fafita and Cleary next week. I only have 8 without trades. Okay, so you've only got 8. So you're getting in 1, 2, 3 guys who play this week. Johnston to Munro, I'm not sure I love that, Jason, because of, you are losing it. You're not gaining anything in that, but I see why you're doing it in terms of trying to create funds. I like CNK as a long-term option. I love Ponga as a long-term option. I'm actually very happy to have Ponga. I think he is probably a top 3, 5'8" in the run home. I think Cody, Munster and him are top 3. And fullback, I think he could even be top 3 with Drinkwater, Latrell. So I really like getting in Ponga. I don't mind preempting buying players this week, especially someone like a Ponga. He's not playing Origin. He could potentially miss or get the risk is there that he gets injured during training, but I think you'd be pretty unlucky if that happened. So I don't mind preempting getting in Ponga this week. And it probably helps your numbers this week. Overall, Jason, I'd say it's fine. And it also gets you Fafita and Cleary next week. So I guess if you have to sacrifice Johnston for all of that, it's probably just about worth it. I think Hopgood may get less minutes when Lane is back. I don't think it's really Lane because Lane is just going to be on the edge. I think with Hopgood, it's more about when you've got Campbell Gillard and Junior Paulo all fit and all kind of playing good minutes. I think that's where the minutes in the middle do get a bit less. But to be honest, I think the way that he's been playing, Brad Arthur would be pretty silly to kind of reduce his role. I think he's just been so key for them, gets involved in the attacking stats and everything. Is Manu a sell or a keep? I do like keeping Manu. He's not a must hold because he's at a good price now, 709k, 48 break even. So he's kind of around the price that he would be peaking at. And, I don't mind him as a move to try to get to someone like a Mulatalo this week. Maybe Talakai at a pinch. I prefer Mulatalo. Maybe even an Asako. I think Asako is a good option this week. Penrith next week is tough, and then the bye. But I think for this week, Asako, if you're thinking of him as a long-term centre wing keeper, which I do think he is, it's a good week to trade him in. So Manu's definitely not a must keep, not a must for the run home. I just like his form recently has been good. His duel is really, really handy as well. I really like his duel. The fact that I can talk about doing Cody out to a centre via him, he helps things very, very much so with the trade. So I kind of even like him just for that perspective too. Is it bad to have Talakai, Wilton and Ronaldo? Jaden, definitely not. Definitely not. I think the Sharks, are a good attacking team. The only risk is I think when it doesn't go right, say if they're versing a top eight team, maybe their performance isn't that good, and then all of a sudden you've had a bit of a down week because you've overinvested. But I think I think the upside in these really good weeks can kind of balance each other out. So I don't mind stacking with Sharks players. There was a question before about who's a front row forward keeper to buy this week. For me, it would have to be Fanil Blake if you're buying this week. He plays this week. He plays next week. He's got a buy in round 22, but that's pretty easy to manage. Just be careful if you own him and Tohu. That's two front row forwards who both be out for you in round 22. But I think for front row forward keeper, it has to be him, I think, this week. With 10 people this week, can I afford to go Buller to Tarpany? To be honest, this week is shaping up to be so meh in terms of, people's numbers got hit pretty badly with Origin and Teamless that I think it's fine if you just kind of take a hit this week and you try to just upgrade your team overall. Now, Tarpany, I think, is a season keeper and front row forward. Buller, I don't think so at his position. I don't mind moving on Buller. I'm kind of for moving on Buller this week, I think, to cash in at his price tag. It's difficult because Buller plays next week, whereas Tarpany doesn't, but I think long term you probably prefer Tarpany. I don't mind getting off Buller this week. I think it's a good week to trade. Munster or Walker for the run home. To be honest, it's probably Munster. He plays an extra game after Origin. The Storm have no more buys, so he plays 2 extra games over Cody, which I think that's what edges it for me. So yeah, I think it would be Munster. Oh, is that another reason why I potentially sell Cody? Ugh. Thoughts on Phil Sammy as a pod? A couple of people asked me about Phil Sammy. I don't mind him because he's been pretty solid. Just note that the Titans draw run home is pretty tough. So I don't know for an attacking player how good it's actually going to be. Like, he's gotten 1 ton all season. Kind of hovers between around the 50 to 60, which is fine. But like looking at that run home, Dolphins this week is fine. But Parramatta, Roosters, Cowboys, Warriors, Sharks, Penrith, Melbourne before the Bulldogs, like that's a pretty tough run. At 580k, he wouldn't be my pick. For the same price, I'd probably just try to get Talakai instead. By Hudson Young or Talakai, very dependent on your next week numbers. If you're fine for next week, I'd probably prefer Talakai. If you're fine for next week, to be honest, actually I still prefer Talakai. Hudson Young is good, but I like Talakai is a good solid 60-65, and I think their attacking potential is equal. Don J, you've asked it many times, so I'll answer it once. Bateman a sell, not this week, but definitely next week he can be up for consideration for a sell. Talakai would be a long-term trade, and yeah, if I traded him in, I'd probably be keeping him as a kind of a 5th or 6th centre wing for the rest of the season. I just like with the Sharks that they play every game. That's just something that I like with them. So you just know that if you bring them in this week, you just don't have to worry about them having a bye. It's only injuries or rest that will affect them. I don't think they'll be resting players, though. I think the Sharks will just try to keep pushing for top 8. Look, their run home is decent. Like, there's a couple of tough matchups. Like, Warriors away is not the easiest. Neither is Penrith or Rabbitohs. But outside of that, it's like Tigers, Titans, Newcastle, Raiders is fine. Like, the draw for the run home isn't amazing. Like, oh my god, you have to have heaps of Sharks players. But it's the Tigers matchup this week, which is what I think looks quite tempting. I mean, Talakai is not the perfect answer. I mean, a lot of us got burnt by him last season. He's averaging 62. That's kind of, I guess, what you should be expecting from him most weeks. He's only gotten 190 and 100 plus game this season, so he's not actually had that consistently been hitting high scores. So to be honest, maybe he's not the right solution. Maybe it is Hudson Young. Sorry for the guy who asked before. SJ now out officially. Haven't heard anything about it. I did ask that guy, JK, saying SJ out is confirmed. JK, can you please put a link to that wherever you're reading that, because I think people would appreciate that, and it's a bit difficult trying to. Not that I don't trust you, but it's just helpful if we get a source. Put it that way. Alrighty. Nicarima at a good price. Would you consider him as a sell down to a cheapie and run home with Grant? Could free up around 300 to 400k with a sell. Look, I think Nicarima has been good. I think for this week I would try to hold him. I don't think he's got a super high break even, so I don't think he's going to be leaking a lot of cash. Let me just quickly double check that so I'm not talking absolute nonsense. It's a 61 break even against the Titans. I think I'd just keep him for this week. But yeah, in the future, I think you could afford to potentially sell to make some cash. Should you reserve your non-playing or buy players? To be honest, it doesn't actually make a difference. I'd probably just, for the sake of it, put it on your buy players, because at least you know that they won't lock out until the very end. So you can still be a bit more flexible with your trades and your moving of your reserves, because once you reserve a player whose team is playing this week but they're not because of Origin, that player locks out and you can't change that reserve. So I'd probably, just to be safe, keep it on buy players, which is just looking at what I've got. All my reserves are playing this week, so I need to keep it as they are. Thoughts on Matt Moylan as a pod? So obviously, big score last week. Good matchup today, obviously. But I mean, apart from that 108, he's had 3 scores over 60, or 4 scores over 60. I just don't trust him, especially at 5'8". Like, he's maybe a short-term option with a break-even of 11 to make some money. But like, before that 108, we were looking at 32, 33, and a 22. Granted, 2 of those games were Broncos Melbourne, but it was 32 against the Bulldogs. Scored a 49 against the Dolphins. He scored a 70 against the Bulldogs before 58. I mean, at a 5'8 position, I just feel like I'd rather just want to try go for the likes of the Munster, Cody, Ponga. Unless you've got trades to play with, then I think you can trade in Moylan with a view to potentially trade him out, say round 22 when he's got Penrith. That's probably the only strategy I'd say is when it's fine to bring in Moylan. Talakai or Kennedy? Now, I've been also thinking about this too, because if I were to trade Cody, I could also get Kennedy. Actually, to be honest, I'd probably maybe I should think about this too. I would probably prefer Kennedy to Talakai. He's actually a little bit cheaper. He's been averaging more for the entire season as well. To be honest, I think I'd actually go Kennedy instead of Talakai. Fullbacks, I think, are just generally better for Supercoach in terms of they get paid try assists and things a bit more than the centers. So actually, I'd go Kennedy. So put it this way, we've got how much time we've got? We've got 23 minutes. If I do decide to sell Cody, I think I'll actually get Kennedy instead of Talakai. But I think I'm leaning towards just going Billy Smith to Munro and just taking a risk on next week having only maybe 17 with Munro out, because this is the problem. Smith to Munro makes me one less better for next week, whereas getting someone like a Sharks player like Kennedy does help me out a bit. Like, I can go Walker to Kennedy by going Walker out, Manu up to 5'8", Asako to my center, and then I can bring in a fullback. But I do like Kennedy this week, and I think with Kennedy, a good strategy is get him until round 22 when he's got Penrith. That week, Latrell has got the West Tigers, and hopefully Kennedy's made some money, and then you can go to Latrell. If I already have Ronaldo, would bring in Talakai make sense? I think it's fine to get, you can kind of stack that left edge. I do think that left edge is the better side of the Sharks to target, because Britt Nickera is so good at running a good line that Hines just hits him. It doesn't even have to go out the back to Ramian and to Katoa. Whereas on the left side, Wilton is not that kind of a back rower. He's probably more of a decoy runner. And so I think there's more chance of it going to Talakai and Mulatalo. So I don't mind stacking with the pair of them. All right, guys, you know what? I'm going to put a poll. Please answer honestly. Don't just try to send me in any crazy wrong direction. But I'm going to do a poll because I can start a poll. Cody to Kennedy. I'm feeling Kennedy now over Talakai. Yes, no. Ask my community. All right, I'm asking you guys a poll. Please help me out. Please do give the stream a like if you are enjoying it as well. And if you like the hoodie, of course. Damn it, man, how do you always hold off on trades? Honestly, it's because I'm just like, I don't know if you mean that in the sense of like saving trades or like not trading until like the last minute. A lot of it is probably just due to I'm very busy, and I just sometimes don't have time to think about. I could only really think about my team for Supercoach like this afternoon. Kennedy or Ronaldo? Definitely Ronaldo. I think I'd prefer Mulatalo. I think Mulatalo, Hines, and Nickera are the 3 Sharks I think you need to have, in my opinion. Wacko's Whisper says, at present, looks like Eshe will play. Yep, so Wacko basically tweeted that soon after that Instagram story was put out. So I think there's a good chance that Wacko was kind of working on that basis. But Wacko is a he won't generally tweet until he's fairly confident. So I think the fact that Wacko tweeted it gives me a little bit extra confidence as well. Maybe he's heard something different as well to us. I'm not sure. But yeah, at the moment, I'm going to operate on the basis that Eshe is playing. Ramian or Katoa, both around similar. Katoa is like 398k. He is so cheap. Honestly, I think I'd go Katoa. Just take that price saving. He's like, I know he's very frustrating. He can go low, whereas Raymond's got better base about him. I just always generally prefer the winger. I'm going to say this in advance as well. I really apologize if Raymond goes big and Katoa doesn't today. Actually, I'm just looking at Raymond's scores. Raymond's got 120. Good base, 32 in base. Katoa, yeah, sure, he's a winger who has upside, but he hasn't got a ton yet this season. Raymond has. Yeah, you know what? I'm changing my answer. Just go Raymond. Just go Raymond for safety. How's this poll looking? 52% say yes. 48% say no. So the slight majority are telling me to sell Cody. Are you all just evil geniuses trying to make me do the wrong thing to benefit your own squads, or do you have my best interest at heart? That is the question, really. Aman, I brought Brayley. Thoughts? I like Brayley as a good hooker trade, and I think especially if you're someone who owns like Sonny Luke, and next week you really want to make sure you've got cover. Brayley's solid. He's a good price. He's 528k, I want to say from memory, so he's not too expensive. He looked really good actually last week as well, running the ball a lot. He's a solid guy, like solid option. He generally scores around the 50, 60, so just wouldn't be expecting crazy things from him. You know, like 70s and 80s. He does have that potentially in him. Just kind of temper your expectations about the 50 to 55, but I think he's a good solid option that you can just kind of plug in for the rest of the season. Buller out for Talakai. I look, to be honest, I can't say no to it because I think Talakai will outscore Buller this week and probably for the rest of the season. Well, for the rest of the season maybe, because Buller still has some good matchups, but I think just Buller's at a value that is good to sell at, I think, right now. That's the thing as well. Like, I'm just scared that he'll just lose it. Like, not scared for myself. I don't own him anymore, but scared in the sense that, owners out there will really get hurt. If he drops cash to like the 500s, trying to get back up to like a Latrell, like we're already seeing this week, a lot of people doing downgrade moves. So there's only so many players in your team that you can downgrade to create funds. So if Buller's in the 500s and you're trying to get up to Latrell, it's like 300k you're going to have to find. That's going to be quite difficult. Who's the front row forward I brought in? Jesse Colquhoun. He's a bench Shark. I know nothing about him. He's a Sharks bench front rower who's dual. He's in because Finucane has been suspended for the next 2 weeks. I'm purely getting him because he plays this week potentially like 10 points. And this is a thing as well, actually. If I get in Kennedy, Colquhoun will likely drop out. But I'm also just, he could go into folklore. He could score a try off of Brayley. We saw that the middles for the Sharks last week were definitely getting the business, scoring tries. So I'm thinking, can this Colquhoun guy score on debut? I can kind of see it all happening already. He's in my team, scores 50 points from nothing, and he's made history. Is this going to be the most evenly scoring week? Yeah, I don't know. I think there's very few pods to go for, which is kind of why I'm like, oh, do I push the envelope and go Kennedy? This is the thing. I need to also just not kind of get so caught up in the fact that this week and next week are my two kind of big moving weeks left, because at the back end of the season, we've got pretty noticeable teams having buys. I think Cowboys have a buy around 23, Rabbitohs around 26, Eels around 27, Broncos have one I think around 24. Like, there's big teams who have buys at the end of the season, and I think having trades to navigate that and do kind of good short-term plays will actually also be useful. I've just been burnt in the past with holding onto trades, and it just doesn't really help me out. So, which is why I'm 5,800. Do I just go for it? Cody, is Cody going out? Is Cody going out for Kennedy? Will Kennedy? I mean, Kennedy scares me too. He's got these low scores in him as well. Like, he's not perfect. And it's not like I'm sitting here with a bunch of trades either. Like, he scored 23 for Christ's sake against Melbourne in round 15, 11 in base. Oh, that's terrible. But he can score a try. He scored lots of tries. He is very try reliant. Holy moly! I'm just looking at his stats again. Like, he needs to score a lot of tries to do well. But it's the Tigers. What did the fullback score against the Tigers last week? What was it, like 173? Surely Kennedy can do the same, right? Drinkwater's probably in another level. Yeah, I wouldn't like to be stuck with Kennedy. Oh, what do I do? I reckon this is the most frazzled I've ever been on a stream. Had Kennedy for 6 weeks and he's honestly been disappointing. Wouldn't do it for 6 weeks. So you've gotten 75, 53, 23, 78, 98, 60. I mean, it's not bad. It's not a bad 6 weeks that you've had him. Probably not getting you the 100 plus that, King Guther's been getting. Cody, okay, let's do math. Okay, let's do some math because I like doing math. So Cody has 6 games left for the rest of the season. Kennedy has, if I can do my maths correctly, 9. Kennedy's average is 70. Cody's is 74. Okay, let's not even look at average. Let's look at last 5 round average. A bit more recent. Cody's is 79. So 80. Call it 80. 80 points times 6 is. I can't even do the math in my head. I'm that all over the shop. Let me quickly consult my friend calculator. 480 points. Okay, it's 480 points. Kennedy, with his 9 games and a 5 round average of 65, is 325. Oh no, yeah, 9 games, sorry. Yeah, 585. So, based on averages, can outscore Walker by over 100 points if he just maintains a 5 round average of 65, which I think he's capable of doing. And it frees so much cash. I mean, to be honest, Billy Smith out for Munro does free up more cash. But that's plenty of cash for me to go. Let's say if I did that, and if I went Preston to Fafita, takes up about 300k, SJ to Cleary could take up about, let's be conservative, call it 100k. So I've still got 135k in the bank. If Kennedy can just get up to like 650k, that might be enough for me to eventually go Kennedy back to Latrell. Or maybe I just go Gutherson down to Latrell. I don't know. Don't trade in Kennedy. What's my poll looking at? 55% say yes, 45% say no. Oh, God. It's tight. It's tight. Don't do it, Aman. Don't do it. Cook to Brayley instead. Oh, that's from Moz. I don't mind Cook to Brayley. You free up like what? 100k? It's not a bad way to get some money, actually. Cook is also someone who I probably will sell for Grant. Or maybe I sell Reed Marnie. I don't know. Go CNK over Kennedy. The problem Mudcrab with going CNK, part of the reason why I'm thinking of Kennedy is because it's a downgrade from Cody Walker in terms of cash. So I can get more money to get in Fafita and Cleary. I mean, going Welch down to enough might be enough. No pun intended. Basically, the question is, Billy Smith to Munro and I keep Cody Walker, leaves me a little bit short next week, versus going Kennedy this week, who might do well this week, gets me an extra number next week. That's the question. Back my gut. My gut is telling me I'm a moron. So I have no idea what my gut is saying. I've got 12 minutes. All right, let's answer some more questions. I like CNK, but it won't work for my team with money. Guys, give the stream a like if you like seeing me in absolute chaos. Any love for CNK instead of, I love CNK. The run home is amazing. It's purely just a money thing with Kennedy. It's purely money. If I had the money, I would probably take CNK over him. But Gutho to Kennedy, yeah. So the reason I did think about Gutherson to Kennedy earlier in the week, I'm off that train of thought now because I like Gutherson's team. I like Gutherson's matchup next week. Could be high in confidence. Gets picked from Origin. And look, Titans next week is good. Cowboys is tough, as is Melbourne. I feel like with Gutho, I can maybe just about afford to hold him until round 23 when he has the Dragons. And then after that, punt him. Get rid of him because it's Broncos, Roosters, Penrith, and then a bye. So, yeah. Don't rest my whole season on one play. That is a good point. Can I get Kennedy without losing Walker? I sure can. It's purely money, which is why I would be selling Cody. It's purely money. Could I consider selling AJ to fund Fafita and Cleary next week if you go Cody to CNK? Who would I sell AJ to? Munro? I mean, he's not going to play next week, I guess. I didn't even think about that. Don't force a trade, save it. Aman, CNK as a center in a keep. Is he a keeper in the center wing? 100%. I think he is a keeper. Late trades are fraught with danger. That is true. AFB or Nickera, Stefanos. I think it has to be Nickera in my opinion. Probably the second best second row forward behind Fafita for the run home. Cody's been good. Cody's been a very good trade and ever since I got him. But is it? I don't know. It's not normally in my style to do these kind of moves. Maybe I'm going all over the place. Fafita has Penrith next round. Are we buying him? Fafita doesn't have Penrith next week. He has Parramatta, which is fine. The only reason I'm kind of thinking about this whole Cody thing is because I know he won't hurt me this week or next week, and I think round 21 he won't hurt me again. Who does Kennedy have? I can't believe I've never said Kennedy this much in a stream ever. I've never even said that name more times than right now. Round 21, Kennedy has Manly at home. Ooh, that's not a bad matchup. Could he outscore him over the next 3 weeks? Could I even just go Walker to Kennedy, back to Walker? Maybe. Please answer my question. Sorry, Mudcrab, what is your question? Nuff Kepi to Howarth via Tohu duel. Peachy to Hopgood. Dill Edwards to CNK. I like the first two. I don't know about... Actually, Dill Edwards to CNK. I would prefer CNK for the rest of the season. I don't mind that. Hopgood is great trade in. Getting in enough is fine, like Howarth, CNK. I like, to be honest, Mudcrab, I like that. Kennedy surely gets 100 plus this game. Oh, don't tell me that. That's going to make me want to trade him in. The poll is at 50% each. This is ridiculous. You guys aren't helping me. Sorry, I don't mean it in a bad way. Walker round 22 versus the Tigers is a tasty matchup. What about Kennedy versus the Tigers? In round 19 right now, in the next 10 minutes. Okay, let's think about it this way. Would I be more annoyed? What would I be more annoyed about? If I don't get Kennedy and he kills it, or if I get... What would I be more annoyed about? If I don't get Kennedy and he kills it, and Cody is like fine when he comes back, or I get Kennedy, doesn't do well today, and Cody kills it. What would annoy me more? This is what I'm trying to think about. What would frustrate me more? To be honest, I think not going Kennedy this week and he kills it would frustrate me more, because I know with Cody, he's got that potential to hurt me. So I kind of know that risk if I sold him. Oh, the poll is saying no, 51%. You guys are saying live a little, Kennedy. You have to get Kennedy. Bit late, but love the Substack. Oh, appreciate that a lot. Appreciate that. Do please check out my Substack as well if you do have time. I'm trying out a little bit something different. Just say it, you're making the trade. I will not be coerced like this. Cody Walker quad strain, does that bring more doubt? Nah, he's not got a quad strain. That was from round 16. Don't give me any of this. Don't get him in and death ride him all game. It's good fun for you, Hamish, not for me. Munster or Ponga for the run home from Rahul. Oof. Honestly, I'm feeling Ponga. He's goal kicking as well. His average is 74, right? His average is 74 across the season, and that's not goal kicking. And that includes a game where he scored 1 point. You take that 1 point out where he played 2 minutes, he's probably averaging like 80 without goal kicking. And his run home has got the Tigers, Dolphins, Bulldogs, Dragons. The last 4 weeks are all at home. No more buys after this week. Oof, I like Ponga. I'm really feeling Ponga for the run home. I mean, look, don't get me wrong. Munster's got some good games. Newcastle, Dragons, Titans in the run home. But some of those better matchups are towards the back end, like round 24 onwards. So I feel like Ponga for the short term is who I'd prefer over Munster, which sounds crazy. How much time we got? 6 minutes! 6 minutes! Oh my goodness. Kennedy will be a bust compared to Cody long term. That's true. Oh, not that's true, but would he be a bust? He's averaged 70 for the season. That's pretty good. He's only 4 points less than Cody. Is Johnson playing? Based on what we know so far, it looks like he is playing. Yes. Hit that like button, lads. Yeah, hit the like button if you like seeing me in absolute drama. Let's just dabble with it. Let's see how it looks. Let's go with some vibes. Oh, actually, before I do that, let me put the captain on someone else, because I've got the auto captain on Manu. Put on someone else. Let's put it on Tarpany to be safe. All right. Because the problem is, if I did trade in Kennedy and he'd be my captain, that would stuff me up. How does it look having William? Does Kennedy have a middle name? William whatever. He could be William King Kennedy after tonight if he kills it. Does he have a middle name? He doesn't. Oh, William Kennedy Jr. He's a junior. We love a junior. I remember Kennedy scored a hat-trick and only scored a sub 100, if I'm correct. That is correct. He scored a hat-trick. I've mentioned this as well. He is very, very, very attacking stat reliant. He needs a lot. He scored 75 last week with a with 1 try, which is decent. He did also score 106 with only one. Oh no, sorry, he did score a hat trick to get that 106, and he scored a hat trick and got 99. I mean, look, Cody can also do this too. Like, I'm looking at Cody. Remember that game where he scored oh, I don't know, man. I don't know. What will annoy me more? What will annoy me more? Don't waste a trade demand, please. Don't. Look, I'm 5,800. Is it gonna hurt me that bad? Sure. What's the difference if I go 5.8k to 10k? Is there such a big difference? Do you guys view me any less in terms of my SuperCoach analysis? I mean, maybe you do. But what happens if Kennedy becomes an absolute goat and goes to gets me to 2k? All right, let's complete the trade and see how much time we have and if it looks good. 3 minutes 55. Do I like seeing Kennedy and Gutherson? Do I like seeing 535k in the bank? 10 trades, okay. 2 trades to get Fafita Cleary, so that's 8. Maybe another trade to get Grant, 7. Another trade to get Latrell, 6. Maybe another to go back to Cody, 5. Let's just factor in a downgrade, 4. That'd be 4 trades for the run home. Is that suicide? Kennedy has 3 more games. Get Ponga. I already have Ponga. And Drinky is just wait. I can't get Drinky. It's just too expensive. He has 3 more games. You know what? Stuff it. We're getting Will Kennedy. Because he's a junior. William Kennedy Jr. If Kennedy... Okay, I'm doing it. Whatever. Sorry, Cody. You're out. Sorry, Cody. You are Gonskis. The poll, let me just quickly refer to the poll. It's 50-50, so no help. So stuff that. I'm going to have to go with gut vibes here. I'm wearing a blue hoodie. Sharks wear blue. I'll go Kennedy. Yep, I'm doing it. Keep Cody. Cody's a better option than Kennedy. But 3 extra games from Kennedy, that's nice. That is nice. If Kennedy scores a ton, I am going to be so annoyed. Please... I don't normally plug my Twitter. I'm sure most of you guys probably know I'm on Twitter. But follow me on Twitter. If Kennedy goes 100 plus, I will be posting meme after meme after meme. You can be assured of that. Aman, I'm ranked 33. Cody will hurt you. Kennedy won't. You're ranked 33. You need to be conservative. I'm ranked 5,800. I've got to do something. No, I'm not going VC Kennedy. Not a chance. I'm VCing Hines. I'm not doing VC Kennedy. I'll trade him in, but I'm not doing that. No way. Thanks for the stream, man. Bad decision. Cody's a play. I love that. Cody going 200 plus when Latrell's back. Remember last season when Cody and Latrell were playing? Cody was doing nothing. Cody was useless. Just leave it. Nah, you know what? Stuff it. I want to have some fun. I'm living a little. Look, if it falls on my face, I'll be here Sunday. Whether I go, if Kennedy gets 20 or 120, I'll be here Sunday night, and you can laugh at me then if it flops. If it works, then happy days. I won't gloat. I can't promise that I won't gloat too much. But yeah, anyway, sorry guys, I wasn't able to do as much of a Q&A stream as I normally would because I'm a bit shambles. Also, just remember, I've got this Colquhoun guy. If this guy scores a try, I'll be even more happy. Munro and AE Nightmare. I don't have Munro, so I'm not getting Munro this week by the look of it. Latrell will take Cody's points away when he comes back. That's what I'm hoping for. Cody could do his quad at Origin doing a man. You're all anti-Cody out there. Nah, not all of you. Alright, well, we're within a minute. If there's any last questions, Hamish, thoughts on trade planning next 3 weeks? 823k in the bank. Bateman, Carraz to Young and Munro. Truva to Drinkwater. Preston for feet up. Yeah, I like that, Hamish. I mean, if you can get Drinkwater, I love it. Drinkwater's a gun option. Tigers to win in an upset, that will be disastrous for me. Yeah, Hamish, I can see you posted again. I don't mind those. I don't mind that trade plan. It's quite good. You gain Drinkwater and Fafita. Love the stream, man. Go big or go home. Absolutely. All right. 20 seconds. Let's leave it there. Let's see if there's any other questions. Cook to Brayley. Moz. Who's your other hooker? Katoa pod. Yeah, Katoa's a good pod this week. You're a South fan as well, Ian? Okay, cool. It's fine by me. That's locked in then. Alrighty. We're done. We've hit lockout. Let me refresh. Has Kennedy got the lock symbol on him? Okay, it hasn't refreshed yet. I can still trade Kennedy. No, I'm not doing it. Kennedy is in. I have No, Kennedy is just an insult. I have William Kennedy Jr. and he will serve me well, I hope. Anyway, all right, guys, we're going to end the stream there. Enjoy the game. Watch along stream. Maybe I'll do you know what? I've thought about a watch along stream. Maybe like the last round of the season as a bit of a celebration. Who knows? I don't mind the idea though. All right. Let's end it there. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Give the stream a like on the way out if you did. And I'll see you a little bit later in the weekend. Good luck this weekend. We all need it. So best of luck to you all. Catch you later.